tin.
Okay.
Cheese one.
Tại đó nó bây giờ mua xí đó. Cần nó cho nên con nào hạ đi. Đúng rồi. Tụi mình xí đây. Phải là bye.
Oh my god, careful. Okay.
Set rồi các nơi start by là chập lời pe sample sample tuần lalu coffee Starbucks Losan rồi đây okay giờ là giờ nó giờ hậu của nó đây rồi cà phê hậu của nó là thật xanh là xanh đi lúc thì lúc lót rồi cho nó đã sẵn sàng đã cho làm một cho nó là lúc chúng ta phải chuyển lúc nào Starbucks coffee bây giờ chạy lúc còn là nhiều gì là lúc này Trump lúc chế họ cho số Trump lúc đây tụi mình former president Trump
for the exterior of the building. Obviously very beautiful. Perhaps you can also guess what the outside of the buildings is made of. Maybe a hard task, we're not right next to the building, but if you're like me, for years I thought that must be some sort of carved stone, maybe granite or marble. Instead, what you're looking at is 6 different shades of glazed clay, terracotta to be specific. So you'll see some other buildings on the tour with terracotta. It's really beautiful often. Secondly, the buildings are well known, well loved for their namesake. That's of course the Chicago-founded Wrigley Gum Company. Sadly, the Wrigley buildings are no longer home to Wrigley. They're still called that. More or less Batman facts on this tour. More? Okay. In the Dark Knight, Harvey Dent's corner office was in the black steel and glass box, probably about 8 floors up, the corner closest to us. This building looks simple. It's actually an architectural masterpiece designed by one of the world's most famous architects in the mid-1900s. His name was Ludwig Mies van der Rohe. The city part of the name is more interesting. They're called Marina City because the buildings were meant to be a city within a city. They were jam-packed with amenities when they were first built in the 60s. Today you can still see the marina, 13 floors of parking per building. The old amenity space is now restaurants that you see above. The widest part is 40 feet wide. That's about double the width of this boat. And yet the tower is 720 feet tall. The architects who designed the building had never played Jenga, quite obviously. This is a horribly designed building. It's going to fall down any day now as soon as somebody takes out any one of the middle blocks. But of course, it's not going to fall down. I'll tell you more about the building. There's a lot more to say about it. So I'll just note that this river is really important to the city. I even told you before we left the dock that the reason, in my opinion, why we have so much great architecture and history mainly comes down to one thing, this river. I think the city generally agrees as well. Randomly, often hidden in plain sight. If you're walking around the city, you're new to Chicago, haven't noticed it, I wouldn't be surprised just because why would you be looking for a letter Y and stuff? But if you want to try your hand at it right now, you can look to the right and very, very close to your left where we began the tour. And then all this stuff was built across from them about 7-8 years ago, and that ruined their views. You still have a pretty darn good view. You're going to see what I think is really just a Grand Canyon of world-class architecture. Tall and short buildings, old and new buildings by famous architects, past and present. You're also staring straight down the main branch of the river. A lot of great histories happen here. To me, it's a view that never gets old. So take that in, maybe get a picture or two, and then we'll move on. Seems like a very busy morning for 10:25. There's a lot going on today. A lot of leaf blowers everywhere. Police and fire and ambulances seem to be busy. So this building obviously worked around those restrictions in amazing ways. It leads some to wonder if the building has a problem with swaying. It's got a narrow base. I'll add that Chicago is called the Windy City. Side note, I don't have time to talk about the Windy City nickname right now, but if somebody wants to ask me about it later, I'd be happy to. It's just no pun intended. If you have any questions as well, you're welcome to ask. Where its official height ends at 1,451 feet, 442 meters. If you instead choose to measure it unofficially to the highest tip, that's the left or west antenna, it's the 11th tallest at 1,729 feet or 520 meters. So how does this compare to the tallest building in the world? Well, I'm sure some of you know it's a building in Dubai called the Burj Khalifa, built in 2009. I'll remind you that the Sears to the roof is 1,451 feet. Burj Khalifa is 2,717 feet, almost twice the height. And if you haven't seen it, it's also a really beautiful building. It was designed by a firm called Skidmore, Owings and Merrill. Have you heard of them? They're everywhere. As for the Sears, always cool things to talk about with regard to the tower. I'll share just a couple facts with the time we have. The building's anchored into Chicago's subsequent floor. The tower is called the St. Regis. I mentioned it's the new third tallest. It's a beautiful building. Obviously, it's got different colored glass for different floors. It almost appears to pulse. I'll mention one relevant fact. It's mostly condominiums. Over the years, if this is obvious, I'm sorry. They took a model of the building through wind tunnel test again. This time they revealed something disturbing. The highest floors of that tall tower were going to sway so much that people who paid millions of dollars to have great views up there were instead going to spend a lot of time staring straight into their toilets, if you get my drift. You can do that for a lot less than millions of dollars. So they had to remedy that, obviously. They did so by getting rid of the residences planned for that floor, and instead they left them wide open. That's what's called a blow-through. It does exactly what you can probably guess it does. It allows the wind to blow through and reduce the sway of the tower. And by the way, they had to make...
pelle catales. Sa tận nó thì giờ một tổ tài liệu xử rồi nữa tận nó này. Sa nó thì sai hiện xử Michigan Lake.
Gosh, we'll cook it tomorrow.
Those cool stones. So many other great things to see and do around Chicago. If you enjoyed the tour, which of course I hope you did, whether you're a tourist or a local, let me know. We're right up the stairs. If you have any final questions, again, my name's Andrew. Over the rest of the beautiful day in Chicago. It's been an honor to show you around the city. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, keep those hands going. One excellent job. Take a lead, join us for the rest of your day. If you have any questions, comments, anything at all for Andrew, we'll be graciously waiting you guys up top. Along with those boarding photos, see what we look like before we leave this. On behalf of everyone here at Shoreline 17, thank you so much for coming out today, guys. We cannot do it without you, so please come back soon. The city's always changing. Just give the crew a little space to get that ramp in place.
Sasha. Sun Sasha. Dua saya dua truk lagi. Saya jadi buat ya. Oh, yeah. rồi xa cứng cơ
It's tapas style, but I mean, I don't know if they'll fit everybody's appetite. I just wanted to see. Yeah. If you want to try Michigan,
hôm nay giờ lúc nóng tàu nó đấy lúc nào này lúc nóng tàu chi nè để nên mà còn lúc nhiều lúc nó sẽ là nơi thôi trong cứ tôi xíu kia lúc này dù sẽ là mò dù họ có tới rồi nó sẽ nóng tàu nè cái bảo dù nhau hậu tạo hậu đi cũng trong cái tôi sửa thiệt thiệt tôi sửa nên lúc tàu nó sẽ lúc tàu nó nhất tôi hoàn toàn thầu Chicago này lúc tàu này còn đây là lúc pork vừa như liền nhìa pork lúc này giờ nên tôi sửa lúc nào sẽ làm gì đấy
lúc nào hùa lúc bì
dù lúc mà bắt tàu này là nó ra chứ gì luôn rồi hấp tấp sai cho mà nữa tàu nó sẽ chơi chân tôi chỉ tết rồi nè nó hổ thế cái gì đấy mưa là sát hả? Sát hổ nó rồi từ chỗ cái chỗ cái nó họ từ lên nó mất ơi cái chỗ những người tia trong người ta họ chỉ là chỉ giờ thế ô luật cái gì nên tôi sai trong lo là những chuyện nhỏ cái bao giờ sẽ là tỷ số đi đó nó chỉ bao giờ người sẽ là được tỷ đi ở trong rồi chỉ trong đi cái nào cái bao chỉ mang đi nữa nó sợ nữa tụi nhau kiểu có sợ thế rồi nắm tàu nữa đây chờ trà nữa ô đây chờ trà nắm tàu nữa ô dùng cái tuyệt thế nó để là hóng ấy từ phân này là từ sát tận nó đây rồi xì theo tôi chỉ năng là tôi to cái gì có đây tôi cho nên nó vẫn cho một tôi phải từ lượt tuổi luôn chỉ có chi mệt cả nữa nè chỉ có chi mệt cả ngắt rồi mình sập tà nó cũng mua theo rồi tên ngắt rồi sắc của tên mà chỉ mua chỉ có chi này câu thế này